What's up, guys? Welcome back to Railway Empire 2, and we are going to be doing Ile de France, which is building the Eiffel Tower, and it's a La Dame de Fer, which, if we go to the trophies, you can see Industrial Wonders. It's complete the scenario, La Dame de Fer. Hopefully we're going to get 200 loads of steel components in this one as well. And as you can see, I'm actually doing it on the PS4 version. This is because I've done most of these on PS5. Currently, guys, just trying to top it up to 75%, but also try and keep bringing the videos. So this one is... This one's interesting. It's actually very mountainous, which is not what I expected. So, we're going to go with here. We're going to go with the engineer. We're not going to get a bonus, but we're going to get 20% lower track, tunnel, and bridges cost, which is something that we're going to need to work with, because actually it is very, very mountainous. 3 million initial funds and 0 competitors as of yet. Okay, so guys, let's have a quick look at the first tasks. So we need to transport 70 wagons with one single train line connecting the cities of Paris and Conflans-Saint-Honorine. Transport 500 passengers to Paris, deliver 20 loads of wooden planks to Paris, and reach 60,000 citizens in Paris. Okay, so we've got to make a few decisions here. So first off, there is that city, which means we're going to have to buy that concession, and that's pretty much the first thing we're going to have to do. Now, we need to be thinking, do we want to be warehousing goods in Paris, so that like all goods go to Paris? We don't even necessarily have to warehouse in Paris. We could just send a train that goes with potatoes to Paris and potatoes to Saint Denis, but then other cities aren't going to get supplied with it. So whether or not we actually do run to Saint Denis, we put a warehouse, say, in Saint Denis, but then also run goods direct to Paris as well. That is something to think about in the for now, but also in the future. But we also want to think about the fact that Paris is going to probably get quite big quite quickly, and we're also going to probably be connecting potentially down here and over here. So we need to be thinking about where we're going to place our stations and what we're going to do with them, and the fact that Paris doesn't have a great amount of places to put train stations really does make it a bit on the difficult side. So and it doesn't really make a difference. You're going to run over the water pretty much anything north of Paris for now. So we're going to put our first station there. And I think north is probably the way to head first. I'm trying to think. Do we want a couple of separate stations? Do we want one that's bringing goods, people through, and maybe one for goods to arrive? I don't think so. Don't think so. Right, Paris. Right. So first thing we're going to do here, I've had a think. I've had a bit of a think. Is we're going to warehouse here in Saint Denis. So in Saint Denis, we're going to leave 2 lines free for goods in. And then we're going to start on line number 3, so that we are we've got our 2 lines for goods. We want to make this as cheap as possible, guys, and let's face it, it's not going to be cheap actually. So let's do it section by section. Now what I'm going to do here with Paris is I'm going to run temporarily. I'm going to make, I want Paris to be done right pretty much straight away, because it's going to get busy and it's going to be a hefty station for us to work with. So that's going to cost us that much money, and I don't think that's really going to change too much regardless of what we do, because we've got this bridge initially coming out. So we're going to start with that, and let's get a second one in. And then potentially, just for now, extend it across the water into 4 lines coming in, because I don't want this station to be a pain. So eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this as a goods only line into these 4, and then we'll open up later to an express line with the same situation in the future. So let's get a couple of trains on that. We are in pause mode, so not a problem. So we'll start with 2 trains for that, and that will get goods and people moving straight away. So we want here, we're going to need a maintenance depot, unfortunately, in at least one of these cities. So we'll transfer that to all. And eventually, probably what I'll do is allow a maintenance station at each one of these mini stations as well. So let's start by getting wood. And I also, guys, want to have a quick look at see what the price of some of these businesses are, because it might be nice to potentially I'm going to run this 2 lines, guys. I want to keep goods separate from the main line. Keep them in their own little world here, just to try and ease the pressure on the stations. So let's put that there. Right. Let's have a look at how much it is to buy the wood, because I think the wood business will be really busy. So 60,000. Let's have a look at potatoes. I think potatoes could be expensive. Yeah, I'm not paying that for potatoes. Right, and then we want to look at getting a train station from here, running through please tell me that, yeah, that is taking potatoes. We want to get that to run. Oh, look at that. Look at that immediately. Wow. Oh, we might get lucky there. I'm not paying that much for that line. Okay, so 51k. Okay, okay. It might be a bit of a struggle at the start of the line, but yeah, I think that's going to work, that, guys. And we are going to. Do we need to double line it all the way? Probably not. Let's just double line it to there. We're also, guys, going to put a 3rd line in here, potentially 4, 5 lines later on, depending on how busy this station can get. Now, that's because I want to run a new rail line from here to here, and I want to run it sitting on line number 3. So what that allows is other trains to run through the station without incident. Let's get a new one on there to there as well. Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. Let's put a supply tower. Let's put it on the double line section here. And then let's put a warehouse here. We've got to think that potatoes, wood, milk, potentially, yes. But what I'm thinking is, because Paris has got cheese, we want to be running cheese milk directly in, so that we're not we've got a constant supply of it. So it might be that we have to run this line in via here, and then just put a cheeky little diversion over to here. In fact, let's focus on this line first. We also need to get wheat directly into Paris as well, so that's another thing we need to look at, and how we're going to fit that in without costing us the earth. And meat also up to here as well, so that's something else we've got to think of too. So let's go with that line there. Now again, we have the option for goods up here. We've got beans, we've got wood, we've got salt. So potentially we're going to need 2 lines here just for goods, as and when we kind of need them coming in. So that might be something to think along the lines of in the future. So again, let's leave the 2 lines for goods, and let's try and avoid at all costs costing us the absolute earth to get this line in place. So straight in to line, that one. Keep it straight as possible. Yeah, okay, happy with that. So that now gives us a straight line all the way through. Now the question is, one single train line connecting the city of Paris through to there, if we send it from there to there to there, does that then nullify it or not? I think the only way we can kind of do this is if we try it. If it doesn't work, then we know that we'll have to put a direct line from there to Paris. But for now, let's get 3 trains running on that. And let's press play. Let's get some money rolling here, guys. And then think about how we're going to get these 2 stations, these 2 connected to our network without costing us an absolute fortune. We're lucky that if we put it in the middle, that will grab on both, so we know that. And it might just be, for now, I have to run into this line and feed it down to Paris. It might just be have to be that for now. I think that's obviously definitely possible. How much is it going to cost? Because it's, in fact, I think we're better if we rotate it so that it's facing that way. Let's face it that way, and we'll figure that out in a minute as well. So have we got our first train running? we have got, he's already made it down there, so that's okay, good. Oh, okay, so we've actually got, oh, I've already done, oh, okay, so I've already done that. Go away. So, maybe I'll just have to get rid of one of them trains, actually. We've got potatoes coming. I think I've overshot that one for now, but doesn't really matter. Let's keep it press and play. Now, what we're going to do here is we want to avoid all of the contouring. But also give us the best opportunity. And like I said, it can run different a little bit later if absolutely necessary. We're going to run the 2 lines in there. Might even be 3 lines yet, I don't know. So let's focus on getting this right first. So we want at least one train that's going to run directly to there, and that's going to take meat generically, isn't it? So let's do that. Okay, hold on. I haven't put the. We're gonna start with just 2 lines. We can always increase that much later. So a new rail line that goes from there to there, but at Lambert Rest it's going to sit on line 1, and it's going to be a minimum of 8. Okay, right. We've also not done. I don't know why I keep forgetting to do the track direction. And then we're going to do a new rail line that goes from there to there, and that's obviously going to sit on line number 2, and it's going to take a minimum of that. And we're going to run 2 trains because that's quite a distance, so we want a constant supply of that. And we're going to put, once we get some money, we're going to put a maintenance station here. I think that's a cracking start there, guys. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a cracking start. So, the one single line, where is that? So I've got to presume that actually that isn't working. So let's delete that line, unfortunately. And let's put a new rail line that just does that to Paris. Okay, that's what we're going to do there, guys, because we want we need the 70 wagons going constantly. And then let's also put 2 trains that do that. This is why I'm saying that the lines are going to get pretty clogged up pretty quickly, aren't they? So that we can supply potatoes and wood that way as well, guys. So is it worth running 2 trains on that? I think potentially yes, for the very simple fact that that wood business is going to eat a lot of wood. So having 2 trains going there constantly is going to supply the goods we need. Definitely. Good, right. Pretty happy with the way we've started here. Oh no, I missed that. Actually, it needs to go to Foss's as well. So how do we... Wow. How do we provide that? Because we need to get that to there and to there. Wow. Okay. That's not a nice train line. Because it doesn't work. You would have to go from Foss's to there to there as one single line. I don't like the sound of that. That sounds pretty nasty, to be fair. Okay, right, okay. Okay, how do we manage that? That's the question. How do we manage that? Suppose we've only got to do it for... We've only got to do it for the purpose of the task, haven't we? So it's only a matter of doing it, and then we can figure out a better line a little bit later. Let's have a look at research first. That's something we've not done. Let's take a bond. Let's take a bond and get this done. Right, so what I'm thinking here is we can run our train like that. We can do that, even if it's only temporarily for now. We can run a train through that station like that, with the intent of I don't like this at all. So this is something that's probably not going to stay connected. This is going to be adjusted or deleted a little bit later. Certainly this rail line, I don't like the idea of this rail line at all. But hey, you've got to do what you've got to do. So we're going to run that like that. We're also then going to put a third line in so that we can keep the main line clear. Again, for the trains running through. Let's start by getting a new rail line from there to there. And that's going to sit on line number 3. So that gets that connected to that. And then let's get this connected, disgustingly, up here. But this is worth a good bit of money to us, to be fair, getting this city connected. Let's just do that like that. Unfortunately, as much as it's paining me. Right, so we now need to find that line. Let's delete that rail line. New rail line that goes from Fosses to there to there. And we'll go back that way. It's not a nice line, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's not a nice line. But it's necessary for the current mission. And that's kind of just how we've got to look at it. It's necessary for now. We can get rid of it at a later date. But what we can also do is we'll put a 4th side in actually and run the train directly with milk to Paris so that it can be supplied with milk without any need for the warehouse. Okay, right, so we're just going to have to kind of let this play and make sure that this is going to work. Let's keep an eye on this train. So this is our first one, isn't it? Let's just watch this train for a moment and then see what happens. Oh, look, we've got all these cities up here as well. I mean, there's no saying that we actually need to necessarily have Fosses connected to anything. Anything like south. Or we could just run it directly down this new line that we've just made into Paris. And that's fine as well. Right, so the first one's going to arrive here. It's probably not going to drop any meat off for the very simple fact that no meat will be needed. So we're going to have to wait for it to get all the way to Paris. And we won't get the bonus until it's actually dropped something off as well. We've only got until July to do it too. That's everything we've got to think about. So, well, yes, so that's working. So what we're going to do here, guys, is just allow this to kind of just happen. We should see the other sort of targets happening at the same time. Okay, so with July very, very quickly approaching, I've now got 62 out of the 70 carriages moved to between the 3 lines. We've got another, hopefully, 8 being dropped off here. So if these 8 get dropped off, we can then officially delete that line and look at how we're then going to work. Oh, the train's just broken down. We don't need the train to be broken down. We've got less than a month. If not, that one should be dropping the 8 as well. And to be fair, that's only got to go down to there. So what the plan is to do is we'll increase the line that goes between St. Denis. We'll delete. Hold on. So we've reached 60,000 citizens before we've delivered the first goal, which is crazy. But that's starting to arrive now, so that actually should fulfill it for us. Oh, there we go. So let's slow down time. In fact, we'll pause time. Let's do some work on our lines here and figure out how we're going, what we want to be running. So that train I want to get rid of altogether. So now I'm thinking we delete that line, and we also delete the line that goes between St. Denis and Paris as well. We'll delete that one as well. So what we're going to start doing is running a rail line that goes from Paris to St. Denis to there and back. And on that line, we're going to run 4 trains. So 4 constant trains doing that. We're then going to run a new line that goes from Paris to Fosses. We'll run that. Even if it's just 2 trains, we'll run that because that will help Fosses grow. And then we'll also run a new rail line that goes from St. Denis to Fosses. And again, 2 trains on that. We're then also going to delete that, and that. So what that does is it just brings back in line everything we had prior, but allows us to run trains up to Fosses to get that one to work. And we're then going to make a quick save. Make a new save. Right, and then let's look at our next task list. So deliver 50 loads of steel to Paris. Note that slag is created as a byproduct in steel production. Make sure that it's transported off so that production can continue. You can use the slag as you wish, or deliver it to the export warehouse for slag in Fosses. So that's where we're going to do that. But we've got to look at where are we going to be making steel, and where are we going to be making tools. So where are we going to be making tools? What do we need to make steel? First off, we need 516,000, and we're going to need iron and whatever that other one is. So we need to look at where our deposits are for that to actually create that. And it looks like it's over there. Which then means we're kind of going to need to buy this bit of land, because by the looks of it at the moment there's no other supply in this area. So how much is that? That's 382. Let's purchase that while it's cheap enough. But then we need to be looking at building a steel plant very quickly, possibly over here. That's probably where the perfect sort of place is. But then we also need to be making somewhere for tools as well, and that again causes another issue that we're going to need a tool supplier as well, and this is making it really quite the difficult challenge, isn't it? So we need to be delivering steel. Okay, so we need to figure out a way how we're going to get this over to here at the cheapest sort of convenience. And what time have we got? It December 82, which isn't easy to say the least. Okay, so let's press play. Let's get these new trains running, and see what we can do. And potentially we need to be looking at getting Versailles connected as well, because Versailles has got fabric, which again will help us continue to grow. And then we could probably run a full train that goes there, and down to Versailles. Okay. So we need we need a cash influx, don't we? We need to figure out where we're going to get a steel plant made. also going to need to try and get St. Denis connected via that as well without... Wow, okay. Wow, it's very glitchy. It's very glitchy. I'm not... Right, okay, so let's start this. We need to be moving, don't we? We can't just not be doing, otherwise we're going to run out of time and then we're going to fail. So and we need this as cheap as possible, guys. That's not cheap at all. That's certainly not cheap. Wow. So that's going to cost us about 500k just to get that connected. Never mind anything else. So I think more trains running, the better. This isn't one of them slow burning scenarios. We need to, you know, it needs to be getting moving quite quick. Oh wow, really? How can it be too tight for a track to run through? Wow. I can't believe that's too tight. Might have to. Let's get rid of that. And I'm also thinking. So what I'm thinking here, guys, is that this is going to need to increase to 4 lines, like kind of immediately, to help with the flow of trains. So I think we've got to bite the bullet and open up this city to accommodate, just like we have done in Paris. And yeah, so let's four line it like that, and then allow that to connect back into that. Like that. so that fixes it that side, and then this side. And this isn't just cosmetic, this is going to be practical, because it's going to help us with the sheer amount of trains that are going to be running from this station and through the Paris station as well, unfortunately. Okay, right, so we can press play again now, and the trains will start running again, and we're all good. So we just need that money now to make that next line happen. And I think we do get connected to Versailles pretty swiftly as well. See, it just all of a sudden just goes, oh yeah, now we need steel. And you're like, oh, nice one. I'm really glad that we found that out, like, immediately. Like, there was some sort of indication that steel was going to be needed immediately. I mean, we could put steel in a different city, but the problem being we still need to get it from there to these other cities, don't we? And time is absolutely flying, and we've done nothing to even work on that yet. Which is even scarier, the fact that like we've just not done any work on it at all. So to get this to run all the way, We still need another bit of money, right? We could initially start getting a train running from there over to there, just to start getting goods moving. Starts getting something going that way, doesn't it? In fact, do you know what, sod it, let's take out another bond. Let's get this going. No, why? Blocked by... Right, let's get this right as well first time. Out of Paris, let's get it right first time. We can deal with the other end a little bit later once money gets a lot better. For now, let's just focus on doing the right thing. Let's get it connected. Let's get it all started and get some money rolling to that city. What? Right, so we've got a grid iron there. And we've got the 4 grid iron there, that's fine. They're both going in the correct direction. So why wouldn't a train be able to do that? What's the issue there? What? So there's a grid iron there that allows it to go into that city. And there's a grid iron here that allows it to come out. The grid irons are correct. Oh, it's now working, okay. So let's set that to 2 trains. And let's set another 2 trains from there over to there as well. And let's get that growing. In fact, let's put that on 3 trains and let's get them growing. Now let's get that growing. Good stuff. Stay my head in that. So let's get a train on that as well. That will supply wheat. Right, we're starting to see wheat and bread. Meat. Meat. We're not going to get meat to it, are we? Let's go from there. So we're going to start. Wow, I don't know what to do here. Do we get Versailles connected? But just kind of run it into this station? And then we can kind of put a warehouse here where we put beans and potentially cloth. I think that might have to happen, guys. Right, let's figure out how we're going to do this as well, because this looks like a dirty situation as well. So let's start getting some beans first. Let's figure out getting into that station. That's fine. Let's not go mad at the minute. We can't afford to go mad at the minute. Wow, this is doing my head in. Yeah, we can't afford to go mad at the minute. Money is starting to dwindle again, even with the loans. Let's put a side in there, though. Okay, right. And then start making our way to Versailles. You might just have to do it section by section, because I don't want to be spending an absolute fortune building this line. Right, if I've got to put a small bridge in, I'll put a small bridge in. That's not too bad. So if we get a new rail line going from there to... Can't quite do it yet. No, we're starting to get this growing now. Good. But we need to get that growing to a point where it's enough for a new business, which is 40,000 people. And that's not easy. And we've got 2 years to get this done, guys. So do you know what? I think that's probably a good place to end part 1. So guys, join me in part 2 when we're going to try and push this a bit further. So thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.